Welcome back to another explainer. Today, we're breaking down the anatomy of a platform that claims it's literally redefining the modern gig and affiliate economy. We're talking about NOVARC. We are going to impartially deconstruct their entire business ecosystem today, straight from their own materials. We want to see exactly how they claim to connect people, technology, and opportunity to create truly sustainable income.
Okay, let's dive into this structural roadmap. Here is what we're looking at today. 1. The core problem. 2. The NOVARC ecosystem and technology. 3. Their multi-source income model. And finally, 4. The tier system and legacy program.
Starting right off with Section 1, the core problem, which they subtitle the quick income trap.
Now, before pitching any kind of solution, NOVARC's premise starts with a very direct question. Why are most people stuck? It's a fair question, right? You've probably asked yourself that exact same thing if you've ever navigated the online business landscape. The foundational thesis here is that simply working hard and spending a ton of time just isn't enough anymore. Not if you don't have a systemic architecture to sustain and scale what you earn.
NOVARC pictures this burnout as a chaotic, exhausting cycle. Their pitch points out that so many people grind away at their keyboards nonstop, yet their income doesn't scale with the effort they're putting in. You basically end up trapped in a highly time-consuming routine without a structural system behind it. And that inevitably leads to a cycle where business models eventually collapse and you're forced to start all over again from absolute zero.
To really hammer this concept home, let's contrast two specific ideas they highlight. On one side, you have the quick income trap. These are those high-commission models that look incredibly attractive for short-term profits, but typically they just dry up after a year or two. On the other side is the missing foundation. This trap catches people because they simply lack the necessary tools, the right processes, and a solid team required to actually sustain long-term growth.
Moving into Section 2, NOVARC Ecosystem and Technology, specifically looking at their 6 core pillars. So, they want to make it absolutely clear that they aren't just another standard network, but rather a multi-industry ecosystem. Using the metaphor of interconnected hexagons, they claim their business areas aren't isolated islands. Instead, it's a synergistic ecosystem. Everything integrates into one unified entity, where every single part supposedly strengthens the overall value for the user.
And this brilliantly illustrates how that ecosystem is structurally divided. It's built on 6 distinct pillars: AI, Academy, Startup, Asset, Cash, and Travel and Connect. Let's unpack exactly what each of these brings to the table, starting with the tech side.
Grouped together, we have their technology and knowledge hubs. Pillar 1, NOVAR AI, is pitched as a suite of automated tools designed to generate stable monthly income through things like automated marketing and video production. Pillar 2, the Academy, is a comprehensive training system. It's meant to help users master US e-commerce and build automated sales channels on massive platforms like Amazon, Walmart, and Costco.
Then, moving on to pillars 3 and 4, the focus shifts to establishing real physical and financial footprints. NOVARC's startup claims to support the entire process of forming a business in the United States, from LLC registration to securing an EIN tax number. It's essentially building a legal entity to access the U.S. market. Then there's NOVARC Asset, which is a division connecting users to long-term real estate and asset investments. The pitch here is making your assets work for you instead of you working for your assets.
Finally, Pillars 5 and 6 tackle broader financial stability and networking. NOVAR Cash is presented as a program to build recurring cash flow so you aren't dependent on a single income source. NOVAR Travel and Connect combines travel services with partner networking to expand international business relationships. The whole idea is that in the modern business world, relationships are the most valuable, intangible asset you can possibly have. But you're probably wondering, how much does access to this vast ecosystem actually cost? That brings us to Section 3, the multi-source income model, where we'll look at cost and commissions.
So, the crucial point is the barrier to entry, $199 a year. It's a highly specific, flat annual cost that NOVARC claims unlocks their entire platform. Let's objectively look at the value proposition and what they promise for that price tag.
For that flat fee, NOVARC promises the keys to the entire kingdom. You supposedly get the AI tools and academy training to build your base, the US startup support and asset access to establish a legal and financial footprint, plus the cash program, travel network, and the overarching affiliate system. It's essentially pitched as a complete turnkey package.
To explain how the money flows once you're actually inside, NOVARC likens their model to streams of water all converging into one river.
It captures their claim that participants generate income from multiple sources simultaneously. We're talking AI product maintenance fees, team systems, investments, and personal business activities. It's all designed so you aren't depending on just a single vulnerable channel that could dry up at any moment.
For the affiliate side of things, the commission structure is mapped out very transparently. It's a 3-tier payout system. You get a 3% direct commission from level 1, 1% from level 2, and 0.5% from level 3. This simple mathematical design is meant to help your income grow exponentially as your team structure naturally expands.
All right, moving to Section 4, the tier system and legacy. This is presented as the peak of the system.
Let's move to your audit and see how this builds across a 9-tier progression path. It starts with levels 1 through 3, which is all about getting familiar with the system and building your first team foundation. Levels 4 through 6 represent the accelerating phase, where the team grows and income from multiple tiers begins to accumulate steadily. Finally, levels 7 through 9 are dubbed the dominating phase. This is where users allegedly achieve large system income, high bonuses, and ultimately gain access to the NOVARC legacy program.
Their pitch relies on a really evocative metaphor for this progression. Income like a multi-step staircase. When you have a system in place, you are no longer climbing each step entirely alone. The claim is that the scale of the entire system lifts you up alongside it, meaning your income is no longer strictly tied to how many personal hours you grind out each day, but rather depends on the scale of the network you've built beneath you. To summarize their whole pitch, they draw a direct contrast between the traditional model and the NOVARC model. In the traditional setup, you just earn money from a company's products. You rely heavily on one income source, and you usually fail to accumulate any personal assets. In contrast, the NOVARC model supposedly lets you build your own business using their ready-made platform, their tools, and their distribution network. Effectively, they say it bypasses the high cost, the time, and the risk of building something completely from scratch.
And this brings us to their ultimate aspirational pitch for anyone who reaches the very top. They state, at the legacy level, you don't just receive income, you own a part of the system. This is the level where income becomes a real asset. It's a bold claim, for sure, meant to appeal to anyone totally burnt out on the daily grind. And it leaves us with a provocative question to consider. Is an interconnected ecosystem like this truly the key to achieving income beyond time? Or is it just a highly sophisticated new wrapper on an age-old model? That is the fascinating architecture presented to us today. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and as always, keep learning.